Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the next session, Vaping Has Science Beaten Smoking, which is going to look not just at vaping, but the whole tobacco harm reduction industry that we have at the moment. Joining me on the panel is Chris Snowden, who is the Director of Lifestyle Economics, have I got that right? That's right. At the Institute of Economic Affairs. Next to him is Angela Harbutt, who's actually the Acting Director of Development or something like that at the IEA, but has done lots and lots of other things. Hands off our PAX campaign and the plain packaging debate that we had a few years ago. Yeah. And then to my far left, I don't often say that, but to my far left is Martin Cullip, who is a blogger. He has an alter ego. Whether he wants to reveal that alter ego is completely up to him. But he also helps me with the Freedom to Vape campaign. So that is our panel. Perhaps if I start with you, Martin. There'll be plenty of people here in the room that may not know a lot about vaping, indeed what it's about. If you could explain a little bit more about the technology of vaping, but also, do you agree with the premise of the question? Has vaping, has the science beaten smoking?
I think it could beat smoking if it was allowed to. The problem is public health officials and politicians don't seem to like the idea of an electronic cigarette, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is something that heats nicotine instead of burning tobacco, so you can get the nicotine without all the harm that comes from tobacco. The first one I saw came out in 2007. It was a very primitive thing, but around about 2010, politicians and health officials started to notice these things and instantly said that they'd like to ban them. The MHRA came out and said that they'd like them banned within 21 days in 2010. The only thing that stopped it was a huge backlash from vapers who just besieged the public consultation, and they were forced to reconsider. Now we have a situation where the government is actively saying that electronic cigarettes are a good thing, but they still have this attitude that you should use electronic cigarettes and then quit electronic cigarettes at the end of the day. There's still this reluctance to say that recreational use should be encouraged, and that's why people enjoy these cigarettes. So it's a recreational thing. You stop smoking, but you use something else which delivers the nicotine, and it's fun to use. Smokers aren't, they haven't got a disease, they don't need a cure, they need something that they like to enjoy, and for a lot of people, electronic cigarettes do exactly that.
What do you think, Angela? What do you think the technology is at the moment? Do you think it's likely to replace a cigarette? I mean, I was at a forest balloon debate at the IEA a few weeks ago, where you advocated cigarettes being the best nicotine delivery system.
I won.
And you did well. At a forest event, Angela won, saying the cigarettes were the best nicotine delivery system. I was shocked by that, I have to.
Listen, I think that at the moment, cigarettes are still the best device in terms of giving pleasure and satisfaction. Do we understand the health risks? Of course we do. Do we think science will eradicate cigarettes? I doubt it. But will increasingly people be open to a whole range of products, of which they may have a cigarette in the evening, a lozenge in the morning, a vape at lunchtime, whatever. I mean, we think of alcohol, we don't think, well, I'm a wine drinker or a beer drinker. I'm a nicotine user, and therefore the whole plethora. Do I think science will get there? It'll get much, much closer. Martin mentioned briefly about vaping or electronic cigarettes. The science is now coming on really quickly. I've got here with me today, which I occasionally use, not as much as I probably should, heated tobacco. So this is, for those who haven't seen heated tobacco yet, this is a kind of battery charger. Inside is a device. You then take your little cigarette, tiny cigarette, you pop it in, and then it's basically a cigarette at the end, but it's not burning, it's superheating. So you get none of the carcinogens and none of the other problems. So this is, they reckon, I don't know, somewhere like 95, 98% safer than the traditional cigarette. This, for me, is much closer and much better than Martin's sonic screwdrivers over there. But I think as we go forward, they will find new and different ways. So will science eventually beat smoking? No, but it'll get a hell of a long way there. And that, at the moment, as Martin said, is in spite of the state, not with its help.
I mean, Chris, we were just discussing before the session started about the problems of vaping on a train, for example, where on trains it's completely banned. I was on King's Cross Station, and I had my e-cigarette in my hand. I wasn't even using it, I just had it in my hand, and a bloke walked past and said, "You can't smoke that here, sir." I said, I can't smoke it anywhere, but anyway. I wasn't going to get into a big argument, but I mean, you spend your life battling against the nanny state. I mean, how do you think the nanny state is going to sort of prevent the technology moving forward as well as it would in a completely free market?
Yeah, well, it will, and it has. I mean, in a way, it's ridiculous that it's taken well over 100 years for a safer substitute to become on the market. And part of that is due to failings in the tobacco industry, and part of it is due to failings in government. It is now basically impossible, very nearly impossible, to launch a safer nicotine product. And this IQOS is an example of it, right? It's available in one shop in London. That's the only place you can buy it, and it can't be advertised, it can't be displayed at the point of sale. You can't really tell anybody about it except as sort of a science and news story. So we would have had e-cigarettes a lot earlier, I think, had they been able to be marketed, had there been a bit more innovation also in the industry. But whether it beats smoking, I mean, I think we should be very clear that it's not the job of the government to try and beat smoking. Whether people want to smoke or not is entirely down to them. We've spent the last 10 years beating up smokers in an attempt to beat smoking, starting nearly 10 years ago with the smoking ban, and the very draconian smoking ban it is too. And then that unleashed this avalanche of very heavy-handed regulations that were mainly aimed at making smokers feel bad about themselves and extorting money from them with taxes and so on. And the effects of that is quite clear to see if you look at a graph of the smoking rate over the last 15, 20 years. It was going down very steadily until exactly 2007 when the smoking ban came in. Then it was basically flat for a very long time, until around about 2013 when e-cigarettes became popular, and since then it started to go down at quite a lick. That is not a coincidence. So although it's not the job of the government to try and beat smoking, undoubtedly there are smokers who would like to have the benefits of smoking with fewer of the risks. And three of us, I guess, in this panel have switched. Have you switched completely?
Yes, completely.
Yes. Three of us switched. I don't know about you, I had no intention of even giving up smoking. But I have ended up a non-smoker as a result of e-cigarettes. So if I can do it, I think a lot of people can. Angela hasn't. Angela prefers cigarettes, it's fine. But look, Angela came to cigarettes slightly later in life than us, so she's still in a honeymoon period. I think the point is that you will need to allow 1,000 flowers to bloom. E-cigarettes clearly are not for everybody. There is a problem that a lot of smokers haven't even tried them yet. There's a big problem that a lot of smokers think they are as bad or even worse than cigarettes, and that is a massive public health failure, that we've not even been able to get the basic science out to people. Not only failed to get it out, but actually knowledge is going backwards on this. People were better informed several years ago by just assuming that they were safer, and now there's more people think they are as dangerous as smoking than they did before, which is insane. So yeah, the problem remains that we do have a lot of restrictions on regulation, which mean that you can't have more innovation in the field, and there is a huge amount of misinformation, not so much in this country, but certainly from America and many other countries. And we have got this big problem that more and more places, for no reason at all, are banning vaping, and this hotel is an honourable exception. But if you make it as difficult to vape as it is to smoke, then people will keep carrying on smoking.
No, I was going to say, I've got a couple of friends, I'm sure we all have anecdotally friends who actually did start vaping and actually had begun to go, what's the point? You know, you can't vape on a station platform, you can't vape in a hotel, you can't vape in a bar. So you're standing outside a pub in Westminster, and I'm smoking and they're vaping, going, really? I mean, what the hell is this about? It is insane. So I think something, that has to be a major mindset change, I think, in government. Partly because they still, I think, the officials still have this view that it's quit or die.
Yeah.
As you say, they think that the vaping device is a way to go from smoking to vaping to quitting, because they still believe nicotine fundamentally is bad, and they want everybody off nicotine. And while they keep that mindset in their head, I don't think policymakers will actively allow this 1,000 flowers to bloom, because they still think ultimately it's evil, it's bad, it should be banned, it should be stopped, and this is the lesser of the evils rather than just being a pleasant way of enjoying nicotine.
Also, on the public perception thing that Chris pointed out, the Public Health England and Royal College of Physicians have both come out and said that e-cigs are at least 95% safer than smoking, and they're being very conservative with that. I mean, it's more like probably 99% if truth be known, but the European Union's Tobacco Products Directive has said that you cannot make that claim on anything to do with e-cigarettes. So if you're an e-cigarette vendor and you say to one of your customers, these things are 95% safer than smoking, you can get taken to court and prosecuted for it, even though it's the truth. And this is the problem, because you can't convey those messages like Chris said, and so the public are being informed really badly when they should be informed of the fact. But the rules say that you can't make those.
I think you've led us onto a nice area there, because a Freedom Association event would not be a Freedom Association event if we didn't talk about the European Union. And the EU's Tobacco Products Directive, which the Freedom to Vape campaign, when I set that up last year, that was one of the three aims, which is to remove the regulations imposed on the vaping industry by the EU's Tobacco Products Directive. I mean, we can discuss that a little bit more, but some people here will be saying, what the hell is the EU's Tobacco Products Directive? And what is it doing regulating e-cigarettes? After all, an e-cigarette is not smoking, so it's tobacco, so therefore, why is it there? But it is. I mean, do you want to speak a little bit more, Martin, and we'll go around the panel, but a little bit more about the EU's Tobacco Products Directive and how it affects the vaping industry?
Yeah, I mean, the TPD2, as it is known, like you said, it included e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes are not tobacco products, so what they're doing in the Tobacco Products Directive is anyone's guess. But having put them in there, this was 2013 when it was passed, and it was passed by people who were regulating something they didn't understand, fundamentally didn't understand. I wrote a piece for Freedom to Vape's blog about mech mods, which are things that can blow up if you're not well versed with the technology or Ohm's law. And
just explain what a mod is, because I think people.
Right, yeah. This is a mod. Basically, it's the battery. But a mech mod is something which it's very mechanical. It's a mechanical mod, and it's something that if you don't know about them and you don't know about the science behind things and you're not well versed with technology, then they can just blow up. As simple as that. But the amazing thing is that's the most dangerous thing about e-cigarettes, and it's not covered in the EU's Tobacco Products Directive. So those things are perfectly legal. What they did do, for example, though, is they said that this tank, which holds 5 millilitres, is too much. So they said the maximum size of a tank can be 2 millilitres. No reason why. I buy my solutions in 100 millilitre bottles. They're banned now. They're only able to be sold in 10 millilitre bottles.
That is the maximum size.
That's the maximum size. And they limited the strength. So when I first started using e-cigs, I was on, I think, 30 milligrams, which gives you a big kick to get you off the smoking. And they said the maximum is going to be 20 now. They just plucked an arbitrary figure out of the air. And most people will just err on the side of caution, and the vendors will sell 18 milligrams. So it's about half what is effective to get a heavy smoker off of smoking. So the whole thing has just come in. It's hampered the progress of e-cigarettes. It's hampered the vendors. It's hampered the manufacturers, and it's completely stunted innovation, which is the thing that has been driving these big increases in quitting that Chris was saying from 2013 onwards. It was the innovation was just flying. It was a perfect free market, and the TPD came along and just stamped on it, just like that. So it's just such a terrible law, and hopefully with Brexit we've got a chance of kicking out many laws, and the TPD's Article 20 to do with e-cigarettes should be one of them that should be an easy win, just throw it out.
I mean, Chris, you were at the e-cigarette summit, I think briefly, at the end of last year, that I attended. And Alette Addison from the Department of Health, she went on the stage and said, well, we may have voted to leave the European Union, but that doesn't mean that we can just leave the Tobacco Products Directive. It doesn't mean we can just abandon it. No, we've got to obey the letter of the law right up until we leave. I mean, do you think we should just get rid of these things now, before Brexit?
I'm not sure we can. I think she's probably right on that, and I think probably the government has got bigger things to be dealing with rather than starting to repeal directives before we've actually left. But what we certainly do need to have is and we need it quite soon, is a very long list of all sorts of laws that should be repealed. I'm very concerned that the whole Brexit process is being perceived as a sort of crisis management rather than an opportunity. The main opportunity, as I see it, other than free trade with the rest of the world, the main opportunity for Brexit is to repeal 40 years of extremely damaging, business-stifling laws. And if we're not going to repeal stupid e-cigarette laws that the House of Lords have condemned, that nobody in Parliament House seems to understand the reasons for, and that most of the public health people, even in this country, don't agree with, then we're not going to repeal very much. This is the lowest of the low-hanging fruit. So, you know, clearly it's not the biggest thing that Theresa May is going to be dealing with, but it should certainly be one in a very long line of recommendations that need to be put to Boris Johnson, Liam Fox, in the fairly near future. And I'm concerned that, I'm not sure, you know, who is involved with doing that, and maybe the IEA should be doing more of it. I don't know, maybe it's going to be a big job. But there are laws affecting every industry in this country, things that people have been complaining about for decades, and we need to get a list of them and do something about it. But certainly the Article 20 should be up there, because it's a very obvious business stifling thing. You know, the high streets are doing very badly these days, but you'll notice that there are a lot of small businesses on the high streets selling e-cigarette fluids, and the effect of what Martin's saying is that people like me and him are buying stuff from China. Now, I'm all in favour of trading with China, but I don't see why we should be deliberately putting out thriving small businesses in this country for no good reason whatsoever, and forcing people like us to buy from China, and deterring people who haven't actually got into e-cigarettes yet by giving them inferior products on the high street.
Yeah.
We're going slightly off topic actually, but I would also say the same directive, as well as being insane when it came to e-cigarettes, also in its wisdom decided they were going to ban packs of 10 cigarettes. Which again was just like completely and utterly mad, insane. So many people I knew were actually using packets of 10 cigarettes in order way of limiting what they smoked over the weekend, for example. The idea that this is an area where normally we'll say downsize the size of the bag of crisps, downsize the size of the Mars bar, downsize everything. They then want to upsize packets of cigarettes. The whole thing, you look at it and you just go, what do they think they're doing? So.
Yeah, and they're banning menthol cigarettes in 2020. Why are they banning menthol cigarettes? Well, they say, well, children start with menthol cigarettes. No, they don't. It's not even true. They don't do that. But they're just banning it for the sake of it. And this is one people's big bugbears with the EU for many years, is they ban things and regulate things when there's just no reason to do it. There's no demand for it. There's not a single country in the European Union have suggested banning menthol cigarettes. It's not as if they need a harmonised market. We have a harmonised market at the moment. People can buy and sell menthol cigarettes, and there's no problem with that. The effects of banning them will be, you know, the people who really like menthol cigarettes, well, again, will buy them, in this instance on the black market, from other countries. It's a ridiculous piece of overreach, and this is why, effectively, why we left the EU, because there are thousands of examples like this.
Right, there's a very orderly queue forming over there, and Sean the Vapor is going to ask a question. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Those who have tried to give up smoking know that nicotine is very, very addictive. I've tried and I have given up and started again. The trick we're missing is a lot of people have stopped smoking or cut down by using these devices. And big business is the worst at this. We've seen bans on trains and planes, but most workplaces now don't allow you to vape. So what happens is the people who are trying to give up smoking, taking these things, are going downstairs or outside to stand with everyone who's smoking. So the very people who are trying to give up smoking have to go and stand in a shelter with 20 smokers. I mean, it's ridiculous. But surely, if we're worried about improving people's health and getting people to give up, then let people vape wherever they want with it.
But this is what one part of the Freedom for Vape campaign is, to try and alert businesses and educate businesses and companies that they should be treating people who vape more favourably. I mean, Andrew did a brilliant freedom of information request around every council in the country to find out what their policies were, and some of them were quite shocking. But it has put a hornet's nest up, and they're starting to have meetings and trying to work out policies that are better towards vaping, aren't they now? So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I have to say that vapers have not always been their best advocates, because there are some vapers who are really into it with the huge great devices that blow out enormous clouds, and the whole purpose of their devices is so they can blow out these enormous clouds. Some of them don't even have nicotine in, they're just like breathing out huge clouds of vapour. And if it smells of very strong, you know, strawberries and whatever, it is actually quite antisocial, and it is pretty annoying, and I suspect that it's been a fairly small handful of people showing off that have inspired pubs and workplaces to ban them, so they're ruining it for everybody else. And it's a bit of a difficult one. You don't want to suggest regulation, but you do want to suggest people balance up with it.
Yeah, I mean, Wetherspoons, as an example, bans vaping. The rationale behind it is because when you used to have the things called cigalikes, that actually look like a cigarette and it glows at the end and all the rest of it, the staff may not be able to determine whether someone is actually smoking or using an e-cigarette. Now, my answer to that is that if somebody lit up a cigarette in this room now, within about 5 seconds, you'd smell it. Yeah. So instantly you would know, but that was the rationale behind it. at the forest event that we were at, that both Angela and Chris spoke at 2 or 3 weeks ago, the person who was advocating e-cigarettes decided to get 2 vaping devices in her mouth, inhale for about 5 seconds or something like that, and blow out what in effect looked like smoke. Obviously, it is just water vapour, but it absolutely stunk.
Yeah.
And you were sat next to her. But I mean, I was sat on the front row, and I was starting to cough a little bit at the smell that was coming out. So you're right. There are some people who just don't help themselves and don't help the cause. Hazel.
Right, I've done a lot of dangerous things in my life, but I've broken no bones and I don't glow in the dark. Actually, most people die in bed, so I daily await a law requiring us all to sleep in the floor. Actually, parliamentarians should have a copy of Post Note 533, which is a good summary of e-cigarettes. It's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with them. How can't we just get rid of the legislation? Post Note 533.
That's good. That's good. Anyone want to comment on that? I have read that, and it is very good. It summarises all the research that has been done. The Royal College of Physicians report that said that e-cigarettes are at least 95% safer than smoking. That's fine. Adam.
Morning. Adam Cleave. I used to work for Imperial Tobacco Limited for 15 years in various corporate affairs roles, and I've got a lot of experience with this issue. A question for the panel, most of whom know me quite well, is the source of the issue here is not science. Science won't beat smoking as long as public health are in control of the narrative. The source of all evil, in my opinion, is the World Health Organization. Every 2 years they meet at a conference of parties to discuss things around tobacco control, including increasingly electronic cigarettes, which contain and do not contain nicotine, and in that respect that can include hairsprays, for example. At the last conference of parties in India last year, which I attended, as did Martin on the panel, it was held in secret. We were kicked out on the first day, and they tried to ban these things through coercion, and this included standing over people as they were discussing and forming their opinions. So I could have saved you 40 minutes by